Deepen with a Friend, our weekly prayer circle. If you're joining us live, this is awesome. You know who you are because you're right in front of me and you keep coming week after week, and it's extremely special. And if you're joining us on YouTube or on Torah Anytime, then you are welcome. I will put the link to join in the description box below so that you'll just be able to put it in your calendar and just be here every week on Wednesday at 2 o'clock as we strive to deepen our relationship with the Almighty. The way our group goes is that we start with a prayer, holding virtual hands, literally a circle like with everyone around the world. Then we go into some teaching, and then we end with some Psalms. So let's head in right now. Welcome, Hannah Crystal.
Hello, ladies. So as I was preparing the tefillah for this week, I just kept asking Hashem, what is the tefillah for such an intense week?
Hannah, can you translate tefillah?
Yeah, what is the prayer for such an intense week that the world is experiencing? And I'm a doula, and I just really feel like these times are really just feel like birth. We come to the awareness that we're completely out of control. We have no control. It's only God who's in control. And when I was asking Hashem, what is the prayer for this class, I was drawn to share a personal tefillah that I wrote for my sister's birth before I assisted her during her birth. And I adapted it for this forum, but it's really the same because it's all the same birth and redemption. It's all the same process of letting go and letting Hashem. And I want to invite you as I share this personal prayer with you. And so I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath, and knowing that Hashem is breathing this very breath into you. And I'm going to share this tefillah. May it generate deeper connection and to Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for generating every experience in my life to prepare me for this very moment. I love you, Hashem. Hashem, look at your people. Look at their yearning to become closer to you, to pray, to serve you with a whole and pure heart. Hashem, look at your righteous nation who holds one another in support and charity. Look at their commitment to take care of one another, to pray for one another, their commitment to take care of your children as you take care of us. Please bless your people with bracha, blessing, clarity, openness, bravery, strength, and emunah, the ability to surrender to you. Hashem, I pray for my beautiful sisters. May we know your truth. May we see your truth clearly. May we love your truth and speak your truth. Hashem, bless your people with loving support. Show us we're not alone. May we interact with people who only have our highest interest in mind. Allow us to allow ourselves to be held. Hashem, gently and lovingly show us that you are holding us and have been holding us all along. Please let us know that we are safe, that it is safe to be. Hashem, you are all powerful. I ask that you please grant us with a geula birth, with a birth process which empowers us to step into our highest self. Hashem, may it be your will that this birthing of Mashiach, of redemption, be smooth, gentle, and quick. May we surrender to you and not to the fear. Make us feel confident, powerful, connected to you, and bursting with emunah. Bless us with the redemption process which shines your healing light onto all areas of our life. Please allow this process to be a time and space for true, gentle healing. Through this process, grant us a refuah shalema, a complete healing on all levels, on any blocks that constrain your flow of infinite light and goodness. May this redemption process, this birth, be a conduit for an infinitely greater connection to you. Thank you, Hashem. I love you. All we want is you. Just take a breath. Allow that to sink in. Thank you, Hashem, for this time. Thank you.
Well, Kana, that was some prayer. Kind of a wreck right now, in a good way. It's a very deep and beautiful prayer. Wow. It's a real spilling over of your heart and your beautiful soul, and your global soul. You encompassed all of us, and we thank you. Am I frozen? No, everything's good? Okay. So I was going to speak about something else, but Hannah, you opened it and I'm following. Yes? Okay. So as Hannah opened with, our world is in a turmoil, as if a pandemic wasn't enough. We now have injustice and violence and all kinds of like really painful emotional chaos that's manifesting literally on the streets, causing damage, and all the injustice of like centuries is just like bubbling up to the surface with different types of anger, and just it's a lot, right? And whether you're personally physically affected or not, this is our environment. We're living in an environment right now with a lot of turmoil and pain and loss, real loss, and collateral damage and confusion. So every person needs to ask themselves, what do I do? The Torah says that if something happens to someone else and you hear about it, something bad happens to someone else and you hear about it, and you don't take a message from it, this is called, in the language of the Talmud, achzarius, which means cruelty. It is cruel because God sends messages through experiences for all of us to learn. So to just stand by and say, wow, that's really sad, I'm sorry that happened, and just to go on our merry way means he's going to be sending more messages. Not good. So what is our place in the world in all of this? I'm not going to answer in a black and white way, because there's a stream of truth that comes to every person. Some people are lovers, some people are fighters, some people heal the world internally, some people go out and take in a more active stance. So it's a personal question. But what I can do is share with you a model that some of my students here, my beloved students who, yeah, they teach me, they're very, very familiar with, and it's a model of life. And I believe that Hannah alluded to it. And for me, when this model kind of like came to me in various different ways in my life, it really put into perspective everything. Like for me, it's the seminal model of life, of relationship, of the world. Just please make sure that you're muted. Okay, great. So I will share it with you now. If you've heard it before, that's okay. Try and listen with new ears for where you are today. Okay, hopefully you're in a different place than the first time that you heard this. All right. So the model is called From Victim to Redemption. And if you're a very visual person, you can write this down and you can just see in your mind a ladder. And at the bottom of the ladder is victim. And then there's 5 steps. There's victim, and then there's awareness, experience, transcendence, redemption. This is the model. So we find ourselves in the place of victim very, very often. We're actually born into the place of victim. We are born pretty helpless. We're born cold and naked. We are born crying. We're born crying to get our needs met. And not only that, but life throws us into victim mode very often. I lost my job, I lost my friend, I gained weight because I went on steroids, I was hit with depression, I moved somewhere hoping that there was going to be a great job for me, and there wasn't. My kid, who I've been taking like the best care that I can of for the past 15 years, suddenly did this crazy turnaround and is like going bonkers. These are all victim places, and we're very, very familiar with them. And we're put there on purpose. And this is why this model is so important. It's important to understand that in all of life, personal life and global life, that the bad things, they happen by design. They're meant to help us climb this ladder and collectively to climb this ladder. So let's first talk about the victim place. What is brutal about it? What's brutal about the victim place is that it is alone. It feels unjust. It feels like cold. It's very cold there. And it feels sometimes like nobody could understand exactly what you're going through. It's so personal. And the analogy would be to a seed that is planted in the earth. So here this seed is in the dark, well, I guess it's warm down there, but it is so alone. A minute ago, it was in a little bright package in Walmart, all dry and lovely, and suddenly it's in there, and what happens to the seed in the ground? It decomposes. Just like what happens to us when we are faced with such painful and difficult things, or the world is, we decompose everything that we know about ourselves. I'm a little dry seed in a packet, no more. Suddenly these little sprouts are coming out and everything's opening, and it's not very pretty, and sometimes it even has a scent that is not nice. It's really a rough place to be. There's beauty in it also. There's beauty in all parts of life. The beauty of the victim place is its fragility. Our ego is stripped. When these things happen, everything just, I call it decomposing, or down on my knees. This like proud person that I am, suddenly on my knees. I don't know what to do with myself. When the ego is stripped, there's more of a softness and an openness and a fragility, and hopefully also a compassion for other people. Now, when you yourself are in your victim state, it is very hard to reach beyond yourself to think of another, for sure. But from that place, as you go back in later years, remembering the place of victim is actually what allows you to have compassion for others. So it's very important that we're there. Very, very important. But like the little seed, it's not meant to live underground. And at some point, we get tired of being in that place. We get tired of being depressed. We get tired of being in battle with our kid. We get tired of being mad at our husband. We just get tired of not making ends meet. We're done. And it's not just tired, it's also God's timeline. We have to be where we have to be for as long as we have to be there until the shift is ready. So it's kind of like our willingness plus God's design comes together, and before you know it, this little seedling pops out of the earth. There it is. And what is this little seedling? This little seedling is the sprouting of awareness. So in victim mode, let's just make sure that we are muted, my friends. In victim mode, we're not going to be taking questions right now. In case you're curious, I'm going to present this and give you something to think about. In victim mode, what was I going to say? All you could see was that reality. All you could feel was depressed. All that you could see was black around you. In awareness, you start to pop your head up and say, wait a minute, there is something I can do. Or wait a minute, I now see that in this relationship where this ex really, really hurt me, I now see that I also played into being the victim. I'm getting some awareness here. These people took advantage of me. Well, maybe I personally stepped on my own boundaries. I thought she was being mean to me. Maybe I was actually being a little bit cold to her. Maybe, right? Some kind of awareness, something, maybe there's a bigger picture here. And when people have life circumstances, sometimes this is where they go to therapy, or this is what happens in a therapeutic room. They're starting to realize, hang on, I'm getting realizations about myself. I'm getting realizations about the circumstance. Yes, we lost our business, but you know what? That wasn't the it anyway. You know what? It's possible that there could be something else, and some kind of awareness comes up. Awareness is a place where we need a lot of support. You know, a lot of times in global crises, you have the victimizing and then you have awareness. And the sad part is that a lot of times people stop at awareness. Okay, now we're aware of all the issues, and now what is going to be? So with appropriate discussion and support, and with a heart of courage that is willing to grow, and this is, you understand that I'm talking globally, but let's bring it back to ourselves, because we're in deepening our relationship with Hashem. I understand that it's going to take a little bit of an ego adjustment to have awareness. I'm going to have to see, I was in my own world. I'm now opening up. There's other people out there with other realities. How do I play into their reality, right? What's really going on? How do I show up? And it starts to open. So the ego, it's like, you know, we want to be gentle with ourselves, but it's not everyone that has the courage to see what they need to see. Then what happens? If you do have the courage, then what happens is you get to the next level called experience, okay? And I'm going to give you a quick analogy so that this isn't just so abstract. So this is an analogy I've given about myself many, many times because it just happened. So you know, if you know me, then you know this. So I used to work for an organization. I love the organization, I love the people, but I felt very victimized all the time. I felt like I'm asking for things, they're not being answered. I'm working so hard, it's not happening the way I want it to. I had like a list of victim messages for myself all the time, right? Then at some point I got this awareness. I just got this awareness. My awareness is that, in that case, was really that how I'm built is to like lead a train of vision. It's very hard for this psyche to attach to someone else's vision. It's actually not healthy for me. You know, I need to lead it. So that's why I kept on bumping in, because here's a visionary, It's going to be a little difficult, right? It's going to be unsatisfying. Start to get some awareness. There's no bad people here. It's just not, right? Just some awareness. Okay. And not just that, I started to realize that I was so frightened as a woman in a man's world to really hold on to my sense of visionary, that I constantly was asking permission. Could you guys do this? Could we make that? Instead of, right? I was like giving away my power all the time, thinking, why don't I have any power over here? Because I kept on giving it away. I kept on asking permission. I kept on waiting for things to happen. So this was my awareness. How did I play into this circumstance? How am I showing up? Then comes the next level, experience. When you realize I've been doing things one way and getting the same results, I'm going to have to do things a different way to get a different result. That's called experience. That means you make a change in your life. You stand differently. You make different choices. For me, whatever it was in that situation, I ended up leaving on beautiful terms, but just I had to leave, and then I had to make 20,000 more choices along the way as I realized I keep going back to that place of playing it small and then getting resentful. Let me play it properly, right? Let me show up in integrity with what I know about myself. Let me not be scared. So experience is that time when that seedling grows up into this tall and strong stem. And I think that you have all been through this journey on some level. Everyone on the planet has been. These are just labels for what you've already gone through. So think about your experience times, the times when you've made a change. Maybe you have lost the weight. You are so sick of thinking about the weight all the time. You're sick of being in the victim land. You get this awareness that maybe there's reasons that you eat emotionally. You take actions towards experience, and you start to change in your life. Now, globally, this is very, very hard to affect physical, actual change. However, all the world is connected by a web, an energetic and spiritual web, and even a physical web that we all create ripple effects. Everything is the butterfly effect. So our making change within our lives actually is world change. So here we are, and wherever we are in our lives, we start to build ourselves through experience. We're climbing out of the earth literally to stand taller, to make the change, to lose the weight, to apply for another job, to stop resenting a child and treat them with unconditional love, to learn a new way of communicating with a loved one. These are physical changes, to be brave and bold and take a stand, to release codependency, to all these changes. They build us, they bring us vitality. It's like the vitality of this flower growing straight and strong. And then what happens? 2 more steps. You think this is it, right? Okay, now we've done the 2.0 program, you know, the 5-step program. Everything is like, I have been rehabilitated and the world is great because now we affected change. Not true. That is a stunted development. And the problem with that stunted development is, as you'll see, is that it's godless. The first part of our journey, we have to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap because God waits for our willingness. He wants to see we're willing. But at this stage, after we've displayed willingness, he's let us see our own strength through our actions. Now we come to transcendence. Transcendence is such an amazing place. Transcendence is when, in my example, Rivka Malka turns around and realizes there was no bad people in that organization, and there was no victimizing, and that wasn't a bad or sad experience. That was the greatest gift that God gave to me so that I could learn this for my entire life. It could change my entire sense of self. I could impart that to other people. I'm so happy that it happened, right? There was an abusive ex-husband, and suddenly the woman realizes 20 years later, if she's done her work, that wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. I walked into that marriage with low self-esteem, and it's only because I felt the misery of being so beaten down that I'm finally did the work of building myself up. If the bad didn't happen, the good wouldn't have happened. If I hadn't been planted in the ground, I would never have grown up. And suddenly this beautiful flower forms, and it's like, wow, thank you, Hashem, for the good and the bad. It's purposeful. It's by design. You don't want us to be hurting, but you do want us to have the opportunity to create and recreate ourselves to become who we're meant to be. And that's not going to happen without training. If you've ever read about the Navy SEALs, they train till they throw up, but they become the protectors of the entire nation, right? That's what it takes. So transcendence, there becomes this beautiful, beautiful flower. And now you say, what could possibly be better than that? Are you kidding? The world is so healed. We finally realize that everything is God and everything was good. And now we take actions towards repairing the world, or now I have taken actions towards repairing my life. What could be better than that? So what is better than that, what our prayer is for the final stage that Hannah mentioned, the stage called redemption. You know, to redeem something is like to exchange points, you know, this is worth this. So redemption is the point where we come to a realization that God is one and we are part of that oneness. And there was never any bad or good. It was just all the revelation of light. Everything, all of it is just this spilling over revelation of light. So in practical terms, what does this mean? It means that the person who experienced the transcendence, the lesson, the beauty, in secular terms, they now give a TED talk. They now have something to share with the world. But it's more than that. In true redemption, you get the realization that it's not that I was born, something bad happened to me, and now I grew. It's that lekach notzarti, as it says about Esther in the Megillah. Who knows if not for this were you born? You were born precisely for this journey to bring out this exact light for the world. That's why this all happened. It's not that you had to, you got up even though you went down. You are the light. You and God are partners in creating this amazing blast of light for the world. And yes, if there's going to be like a propulsive blast of light and energy, it's going to require pain and hard work and difficulty, sweat. You're going to have to burst through the soil. But yes, you were created for this. You are the redemption. Redemption comes through you, with you, from Hashem, all together. You're a piece of Him. Again, in practical terms, it means that you are so complete with the journey that you're overflowing with generosity to share your knowledge with the world. Generosity, not didactic or dogma. Generosity, you're ready to shine your light. There's not a person I know on the planet who doesn't want to shine their light. They may not use those words, but they feel it in their heart. I just want to shine my light. So we have a short time. I'm going to end here, even though you can tell from my passion that, boy, I could keep going. There's not a person on the planet who doesn't want to shine their light. So my blessing to all of us is that we take stock of where am I on my journey in my relationships, on my journey with God. Where am I? Where's my mind at? Am I a victim? What can I do to get up the ladder a little to awareness? Am I at awareness? Do I sit and ponder all day long? What can I do to make some change and come into experience? Am I doing so great? What can I do to deepen my faith in God and get to transcendence and say, my gosh, God, look what you have done for me. I will thank you every day of my life for where you've brought me. And if we are blessed enough to be holding in that place, what can we do to experience redemption, to give over to the world? For we now know that this is what we were born for, this very journey. So I bless you all, and I bless the whole world that globally we should have the courage to take every experience, whether it's a pandemic or terrible injustice or looting, everything, and have the courage to climb up the ladder and to raise everything into the light of Hashem. Thank you, guys. Dear friends, I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm really excited to see the chat box, so I will be reading these. I'll be reading these comments. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We look forward to seeing you. If you like this class, share it with your friends. That widens our prayer circle. And if you have a specific suggestion for the class, you're also welcome to send that to Deepen for a friend. I think it's prayforafriend@gmail.com. Okay. I'm going to read all this. Thank you, everyone.